like a Hellcat.
Hello and welcome back to the channel where of course it's time for another Sega Saturn review, and today we're going to take a detour from the PAL series. We're going to take a look at a game that was only released in America and Japan, and if you've read the title of the video you will see that that game is known as Astal.
Somewhere in the universe,
So I'm going to do my very best to summarize the story as briefly as I can. The goddess Antuaz has created a world called Quartalia, and she creates the earth, the water, the sky, and the air, and she creates two humans to inhabit the world, one called Leader, who has the power to make things live, and someone from a red jewel called Astal, whose purpose was to protect Leader. Once she is content, Antuaz goes to sleep, but while she's asleep, the evil Gerardo, he tries to take over Quartalia. He creates a warrior called Geist. Geist kidnaps Leader, takes her to the bottom of the ocean. Astal's not particularly happy about that. He tears Quartalia apart, which awakens Antuaz in the process. As a punishment, he's banished all the way to Quartalia's moon. Leader takes pity on Astal though and gives him her jewel. Once Astal and Gerardo have been dealt with, Antuaz goes back to sleep, but Geist was still free. He kidnaps Leader again, and Astal witnesses this from the moon, and he's consumed with his need to protect her. He frees himself, returns to Quartalia, and now he must journey through the Quartalia land, which has been transformed by Gerardo's dark desires in a bid and an attempt to rescue Leader.
left again.
So once the main menu comes around, you can see you can game start or head into options. Going into the options, it's your standard stuff, changing the controller configuration, checking out the sounds. You can listen to all the music as well. You can change the BGM balance. And you can also change the amount of lives you start with. This can be set to 99 with the input of a simple code on player 2's controller. So as always, we're going to talk about how Astal looks, how it sounds, how it plays, what kind of lifespan it's going to give you, and whether it is still worth playing today. Now in the looks department, there can be nothing negative said about Astal whatsoever in my opinion. I think the character designs, the enemy designs are all beautifully drawn and animated. They're fantastic. The backgrounds have got so many layers to them that gives you a tremendous sense of depth. They've all been drawn fantastically well. I just think Astal is a beautiful looking game. As soon as you turn it on for the first time and you go into that first level, you realize how nice this game looks, and I just think it is so nice. It holds up so well as well because it's a 2D game. It holds up much better than the early 3D games, and it still looks beautiful to this very day. It's sort of like a next step up from the 16-bit ones as well, the 16-bit platformers that came before, because they wouldn't have been able to pull off a game that looks this good and has a sense of depth with all the different layered backgrounds as well. I just really think Astal shows the Saturn using its 2D capabilities in a very good light. So moving on to the sound and the music within the game, and this is probably where my first criticism will come in. Sound effects aren't too bad in all fairness. There's quite a bit of digitized speech as well as what you'd expect from an early 32-bit game. They were taking advantage of the CD storage and the CD audio, so why not put lots of speech in the game? That's a great thing. Sound effects throughout the game, they're pretty standard, nothing out of the ordinary, and the music tracks within the game I kind of felt just weren't up there with perhaps what I would have wanted from this game. If you consider all the platformers that came before it on the previous generations, whether we're talking about Sonic, Mario, Cool Spot, Donkey Kong, I'm even talking about the 8-bit ones, like the Mario off the NES and the Sonic games off the Master System, they all had fantastic soundtracks with so many memorable tunes that you could hum off the top of your head. Unfortunately, Astal just falls a bit short in this regard. After playing through the whole entire game, there aren't any tunes whatsoever that I felt were special. And it wasn't until I got further into the game, to the ice level, where I actually thought, wow, this music actually does fit this level really, really well. So overall, in the sound and music department, I think Astal does fall a bit short. But what I will do is give you a few samples so you can have a listen for yourself. So, talking about the way Astal plays, and it's very simplistic stuff here. He can walk, he can run, he can do a throw attack, he can do a jumping punch attack, he can slap the ground, and he can also take a deep breath and blow on enemies as well. His bird companion can also do an attack. He can fetch you curing items as well, which can help you stay alive. But in terms of the gameplay, that really is it. There's not really anything new, anything of great variety in Astal. There's no special power-ups, there's no bonus stages, there's no secrets hidden throughout the levels. It is very, very standard stuff. Whilst the game, I said, looks fantastic, really does go on to the next stage by coming onto a 32-bit system, the gameplay has introduced absolutely nothing, and in fact has probably a lot less gameplay variety and gameplay elements than platformers from the previous generation, which is a bit of a disappointment. The only variety you do get is when you get the boss fight where his companion, the bird, has to face the boss and defeat it because Astal has been captured, and also the level where you go through riding atop of a like sea creature, sort of like a crocodile, a massive one. That is really it in terms of gameplay variety. The levels are broken up with a boss fight every few levels, but they're not particularly difficult. Astal in general isn't that difficult of a game, really. Once you've played it a bit and you know exactly what's happening on each levels, it's not too hard. There's not much of a challenge here. In terms of gameplay as well, it just leaves a little bit to be desired. So moving on to the lifespan, and this is another area that Astal doesn't do particularly well. There are 16 stages, but they don't take very long to get through. Just about all the levels can be done in less than 5 minutes, if not every single level. I might be right in saying that as well. The US version was made harder because they decided to lower the amount of lives and continues that you could start with in comparison to the Japanese version, although like I said, you can just put in a code to start the game with 99 lives, and it really depends on what kind of challenge you want as to what kind of lifespan this is going to give you. If you want a real challenge, start the game on the lowest number of lives, and it will be tough, without a doubt, to get through from start to finish. For me, I don't get any enjoyment facing those challenges now. I play a game just to play it, enjoy the levels, enjoy the story, and to finish it. So for me, I just put the game on 99 lives, as you can see on the counter on the screen as well. I don't hide away from that. I play the game just to enjoy it. So in that regard, Astal doesn't have much of a lifespan for me because there's no special stages, there's no extra content, there's no secrets to find on any of the levels. So really for me, it's got a very limited lifespan. It does have a two-player mode, if you want to call it that, where player 2 can control the bird, but it doesn't really add a lot to the game. So for me, Astal's lifespan is really, really short. And especially, another thing to talk about is we're comparing it to the lifespan of platformers that have come before it. So we're talking about Donkey Kong Country came out, I think, 4 or 5 months before this, and utterly destroys Astal in terms of lifespan, variety, and gameplay as well. The only thing Astal has over that is its looks, and that is it. And other older platformers like Super Mario World, any of the Sonic games, they've all got more content than Astal, which really is a disappointing factor because this is coming out on the new console at the time, the Sega Saturn 32-bit system, and it just doesn't have enough to warrant spending. Imagine you're going back to 1995, spending £40, $40 it would have been in America on this game. I just don't really think you're going to get that value for money from Astal. So moving on to our final question, is Astal worth playing today? Now you've heard me criticize its lifespan, say that its gameplay doesn't really have any original elements, and say that the music isn't particularly memorable, so you're probably going to expect me to say it's not worth playing, don't bother. Well actually I'm going to say Astal is worth at least one playthrough, and that is so you can appreciate the visual quality that every level brings. Without a doubt, the game has a fantastic look to it. It's pretty much all style and no substance, but it is definitely worth a playthrough nonetheless. Would I suggest going out and buying a physical copy? Probably not, because you're probably not going to get the value for money from it. The other question I've got is, would this make our Saturn top 10 if it was a PAL game? Now, if you look at the games at the bottom of our list, Resident Evil, Sega Rally, Tomb Raider, trying to compare Astal to those games is tough, but I feel all of those games have got a higher level of overall quality and lifespan to them. So Astal would not make our Saturn top 10. In fact, I don't think it would be anywhere close. If it was a best looking top 10, Astal may well be in there, but in terms of an overall game and overall experience, Astal does leave a lot to be desired. There is no way anybody could say to me this game is better than something like Sonic 2, Mario World, Mario 3, Donkey Kong Country, the games that have come before it, because in my opinion, all of those games are vastly superior to Astal. I keep trying to say Astal, but it's Astal. What are your thoughts on Astal? I would love to hear people's thoughts on this game, because I've seen other people on other channels, Sega Lord X and Joe off GameSack, they praise this game massively, but for me, it just doesn't bring enough new to the table. That is it for today. Thank you for watching, and as always, I will be back soon with another Saturn review. Goodbye for now.